Hello everybody, King Nelly Reviews here, and as you've probably heard, Tower of God is coming back on the 30th of May. Tower of God is a series that has won the hearts of many readers, and its return has brought about a lot of hype among the community. The series went on hiatus in the middle of a huge war, and it's been a very long time since then. So there's a lot of people that are very iffy on the details of what happened in Season 3. So in this video, I'll be going over all the important information and details you will want to remember for the return of the series. If you end up enjoying the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate your support. Now let's not waste any more time and get right into this TOG greatness.
Everybody get your fucking hands up.
Season 3 starts off with a prologue chapter. The chapter mainly showed us what happened to the main characters after the Last Station War arc. Ragnan and Miss Sang return to Team Sweet and Sour, and they see that Horyang is alive and well. Team Shibisu is looking for the ranker Woon Yeon to ask him to use his Yeon family fire powers to help Kun revive. Karaka, along with White and Evankel, go to meet Madarako, a high ranker allied with Fug, and Karaka uses the soul-stirring ladle to get Madarako to assist them in getting Yama to help them with the operation to save Jinsung. Michael and Apple failed to meet up with Rachel, but they teased their new member, which we find out later ends up being Ghost. Anak and Dorsey are trying to get more information on the people behind Emily. Boro and Sachi end up leaving while saying they're gonna meet up with Bam again in the future, so watch out for them. Evankel has decided to train Bam by sending him to multiple battlegrounds while restricting him from using the Black March or the Thorn. Iwa gets poisoned and used as a hostage. The chapter ends with Bam pulling up to the dog shelter, and then the Ding Ding arc starts. The Ding Ding arc starts off with Bam, and the main goal at this point was to get Ding Ding as a bargaining chip to use against Yama in order to get Yama to help him in the war against Jihad to save Jinsung. Louis is the best friend of Ding Ding, so getting Louis is the best clue to get Ding Ding. Operation Save Louis was pretty simple. Bam came in, saved Louis from the many enemies in his way, and escaped safe and sound. Bam has gone through some big changes since the last station, physically and mentally. We see him using a wide range Shinsu skills to mow down multiple enemies with ease. He also seems to see Fug as an organization he has to change instead of one he has to escape like before. After saving Louis and hearing his story, he seems to entertain the idea of giving him and Ding Ding proper freedom, since it kind of reminded him of how he was back when he first joined Fug. We then go to Team Lisu, who is trying to revive Kun. Woon Yeon is a high ranker affiliated with Wohak Song, which is Yurek's team, and he is from the Yeon family that specializes in fire. He summoned all his flame power into a hammer and gave it to Devi as a gift since he was being oppressed. Team Lisu had to get the hammer from Devi, and through Lisu's Oscar-winning acting, Lisu tricks Devi and ends up obtaining Woon Yeon's hammer. With this, they wake up Kun, and then we switch scenes to see Lisu telling Kun about what he's missed and catching him up to present events. They talk about the plan to recruit Yama and predict a big war is coming soon. They decide to go help Bam with this problem. We move on to see Kun and Rag taking the C-Ring test, and we see hints towards the firefish Kun gets later on being used. We move on to see Bam get attacked by a snake spell user called Yule. After Yule loses, he says that he has Iwa as a hostage, and his captain and him wants to join them in fighting Jihad and to save Jinsung. Team Bam makes preparations to save Ding Ding from the regular arena. Baragav then fights Bam. After the fight, Bam ends up locked up, and Baragav says that Bam's natural Shinsu boost must be just as strong as Blood Tamara based on his injuries. Ding Ding is thrown in the jail near Bam for refusing to fight. They end up having a talk, and Bam said he'll help set Ding Ding free. After the bomb in Bam's backpack goes off, chaos ensues and they start to escape. While escaping, Bam ends up fighting Baragav again, and we get some insight on Bam's training. He met a regular called Ha Chai, who refused to become a ranker, but he's still a martial art genius that helped train Bam. Bam beats Baragav, and he uses that chance to escape back to the ship. Ding Ding and Louis reunite and agree to go to Yama and thanks for Bam helping them. Bam and Kun reunite, and Bam tells Kun that he wants to set Ding Ding free, and if Yama won't agree, then Bam will get violent. The Ding Ding arc ends there, and then we start the Yama arc. The Yama arc starts off with a flashback discussion between Hansung and Bam. Hansung tells Bam to check to see if Yama really would be a reliable ally, and he reminds Bam to stay true to himself and be the shining light in the darkness that is fun. We then see Lisu, Kun, and Bam discussing how to both free Ding Ding and to get Yama to help them. They decide to take advantage of the Canine 2 festival. The festival is very important to Yama since the last few has been very disappointing and his people are very worried about the future and think it's declining. We then move on to Team Yama, who are prepping for the meeting with Bam and Karaka. During the meeting, Bam confronts Yama about freeing Ding Ding, and after a couple verbal exchanges, they come to an agreement that they will participate in the Canine festival, Bam being on defense and Yama being on offense. Whoever loses will have to do whatever the winner wants. As Bam reports to Kun that the deal went well, we see a Fug Elder and his envoys make a similar deal with Yama that allows them to participate also in the Canine festival, with the winner getting something they want in return. Before the festival starts, we see Team Lisu doing some scouting, and Kanzon's daughter, Kan Hong, is planning to beat Ding Ding and be the star of the festival. As Bam is charging up Shinsu in preparation for battle, Ghost pulls up on him and attacks Bam. Kun and Ding Ding is about to take the Fang to start the festival, and then Apple and Michael, who used to be in Kun's old team, come to interfere. This ends the Yama arc and starts the Stealing Fang arc. The Stealing Fang arc starts with Team Rachel trying to steal the Fang from Team Kun. Team Kun fails to stop Team Rachel, and Team Rachel starts to run away with the Fang. Bearer Grav and Kansong's daughter teams up with some companions, and they end up bumping into Kun chasing Team Rachel. They help Kun engage in Team Rachel, and Kun fights, captures Michael, and learns about the existence of Doom and the scheme involving Ding Ding, Madarako, and the Elder. Before Kun can process all this information, Paul comes out of the animal on the intern's shoulder and kills Team Kanhong and Kun in order to get the Fang from Team Rachel. Paul lets Team Rachel hold the Fang, and then he gets Ding Ding so they can continue with their plans. We move on to see Bam vs. Ghost. We see Ghost use a black hole sphere, and we get some insight on Bam's abilities through Hansung. We learn that he can absorb Shinsu, unlike most people who would naturally have the Shinsu power decrease with the higher amounts of Shinsu they use. Hansung suggests that Bam should use a Shinsu loop that runs non-stop, and using Shinsu from that loop will allow him to keep using Shinsu forever. He attacks and injures Ghost with this new ability, but Ghost regenerates. Ghost tells Bam that he has gotten stronger, but he will have to get much stronger to fight Jihad. He then disappears. Koden, one of Yama's top executives, was going to the Fang, and Jordan, another one of Yama's top executives, was going towards Bam. Bam tries to win Jordan over as they meet, but the Elder Envoy interrupts them and they end up fighting. The Envoy turns out to be a canine person, so Jordan decides to capture him and interrogate him. He learns that Yama was lying about his brothers being dead, and that there were not any more canine people outside of the cage. The Envoy then blows himself up, and then we shift to Team Lisu, who is seen running from Quintero and Chang. After coming to a stalemate, they learn that Chang is a half canine person and that there will be a coup soon. Yama and his brothers fought for King. Yama locked up Doom, kicked Paul out. The canines under Paul are the ones trying to get revenge and overthrow Yama for abandoning them. We then see Gado heading towards the Elder, but Kenzan gets in his way. He says he discovers that Ding Ding isn't his true son through a DNA test, and Gado has been moving too suspiciously. Gado admits to it and declares that he quits being in Yama's army. Kenzan fails to stop Gado. Gado flies away, meets up with Paul. Paul sees Koden fighting the Elder's priest and takes him out with ease. Paul lets the higher-ups in his clan, who just arrived, to make sure Yama doesn't wake up. The Firefish in Kun revived him and Kan Hong. The intern tells Kun about the Ding Ding, where he went, and the plot to revive Doom. He leaves and calls Bam, who is also talking to Lisu. All three of them learn about the conspiracy between the Elders, Ding Ding, and reviving Doom and Madarako. They decide to help stop the coup and wake up Yama. Kun chases the Fang, Bam goes up to wake up Yama, and Jordan tells Lisu to go tell the other leaders about the situation. Karaka ends up finding out about the situation through Bam's conversation through his hacking, and his partner chases after the suspicious Madarako while Karaka heads towards Yama. Paul's clan tries to stop Bam and Jordan from waking up Yama. Jordan stays to deal with the Paul clan member, while Bam goes to wake Yama up. This ends the Stealing Fang arc and starts the Heart arc. The next arc is called Heart. It's not too long. They basically just explain to Ding Ding that he's the Heart and not to run from his fate. Team Paul meets Doom, and Ding Ding starts to reminisce about his past and prepares for his final moments. Paul tells Gato that Doom is actually the source of all canine power and uses Ding Ding to revive Doom. While this is going on, Bam is trying to wake up Yama, and with a combined attack with Karaka, they wake Yama up. Kun sees Team Paul link up and wakes up a powerful Yama power-up called Verdici with his firefish powers. We then see Evenkel and Hinsung going to the cage, but they are confronted by Fog Elder Kelhelm, and he traps them in an arrow vortex that they can't escape. The arc wraps up with Jordan winning, Yama and Doom waking up, and Verdici is helping fight Team Paul. This ends the Heart arc and starts the Doom arc. The Doom arc starts with Doom trying to get his fang back from Apple, but Kun kidnaps Apple and runs away. Before Doom can kill them, a spear from Roman, one of Yama's higher-ups, attacks him. We then see Yama give a backstory about the conflict between his brothers. He says that the canine people would die with Doom, and all transformation powers belong to Doom, so it's complicated to just kill him. Fug took interest and wanted to make Doom a slayer so they can have a canine army that they can control using Doom's mind control powers over the canine people. Yama won the fight between his brothers for who leads the clan and agreed to work with Fug and make canine soldiers only if the workshop can make a device that can harness Doom's power so his clan can continue living. Now that it has come to this, Yama decides to kill Doom even if it means the clan's future would be destroyed. But Bam and Karaka offered to help by tricking Doom into playing a game that will keep Yama as a slayer but also have Doom's power to make more canine people if they win. Yama agrees and goes to see the Elder's envoy. The Elder then takes an arrow path leading towards the cage while leaving Evenkel and Hansung trapped. We flash back a bit to Team Lisu going to meet Roman, who happened to be a huge Endorsi fan. He's a survivor that fought for Yama in the war between the Yama brothers, but Yama still didn't tell him about the real reason behind the war, so Roman is scarred from all those canine people he killed without knowing why and refuses to continue any more fighting. Lisu uses Endorsi as a bargaining chip to get Rule to fight. Rule throws a special spear at Doom, but Doom transforms at the last second to avoid getting knocked out, even though he took a lot of damage. Yama confronts Jordan for eavesdropping, but Jordan shows Yama full support and respect regardless of what happened in the past. Yama then heads towards the Elders and fights his envoy to end the arc. Stealing the Fang 2 is the next arc. After failing to do damage to Yama, the envoy throws a bomb above the residential area in the cage and uses it to threaten Yama with it. Yama folds to protect his people, but he says that he'll kill both the envoy and the Elder if they break the promise. As Doom goes to attack Kun, Verdici comes to help and says she will fight for Kun in return for him saving her, but she will want more of that Yeon firepower. She gets powered up to fight Doom, but Bam and Karaka show up and propose a game. The game starts with Kun heading towards the arena as Bam fights the canine ranker. After some strong exchanges, Bam ends up winning without using the thorn, but the ranker couldn't use his transformation. And then Gato pulls up and offers to fight Bam in return for giving info about Ding Ding's heart. The arc comes to a close and we then move on to the King of Dogs arc. The next arc is called the King of Dogs. Before Gato can hurt Bam, Kenzan interferes after getting a power-up from his daughter, which Kun's fish revived. Yama is still a hostage in this situation and starts to feel weak for caring so much about these canine people that Doom called disposable. But we then see Jordan sense the bomb and take out the bomb using the help of Roman, which frees Yama from this hostage situation. Yama ends up free to kill the Elder's envoy, which he ends up doing. Kun and Verdici work together to fight off their enemy, and the Firefish gives Kun a warning, saying that Kun is gonna end up losing control if he keeps using the Firefish way too much. Doom tries to turn Bam into a canine person and says Bam has weak Shinsu resistance, but Kelhelm interferes before Doom could fully complete it. As he explains why he thinks Doom is a better candidate for a Slayer than Yama, Yama comes in and engages in a fight with his brothers, Doom and Paul. He ends up beating both Doom and Paul with relative ease, since he has a special ability where Shinso of those scared of him cannot hurt him, and both those two, after witnessing his full transformation, were very scared of him. Kelhelm acknowledges Yama as the strongest canine person, but he still put a spell on Doom's heart and continues with his plan to make Doom king. We then move over to Hansung and Evankel and learn that the Yeon family head received 2 primeval flames from an ancient master, one that could pretty much burn anything and one that could save anything. Evankel has a primeval flame that resembles the one that could burn anything, since it could burn Shinsu itself, and Hansung discovers a way to take advantage of Evankel's special flames and then finds a path to escape to the cage. The arc ends as they arrive to the cage and we see them looking for the Elder. The Kelhelm arc starts with the Elder scattering everyone to different places. The Elder makes Doom fight using the spell on his heart as leverage, but Evankel throws Ruomon's spear at the Elder and puts a hole in his chest. We then see Bam commit to removing the spell on Doom's heart. Yama pulls up to the injured Elder and starts putting heavy pressure on him. Madarako's minions tries to steal Louis, but White kills everyone who was involved and goes outside where he sees Madarako and Soho, the guy that is with the Elder. Evankel joins Yama and they start dealing with the Elder's attacks. The Elder then unleashes a powerful ancient beast. Bam tries to go to Doom to get rid of the spell, but Doom makes it hard to approach. Gado explains to Kenzong that Louis was his child all along and not Deng Deng. He worked with Kelhelm to change his son's fate, who was bound to die with his weak heart. Rak helps Bam by throwing Ruomon's spear at Doom and then opens a path for Bam to go to Doom, but then Gado gets in the way and starts fighting Bam. During the fight, Bam develops a new form of the Red Teresa, and then we move on to see Jihad forming an army in the Wall of Peaceful Coexistence. The arc comes to a close. The transformation arc begins and we see everyone try to avoid the Elder's ancient beast attacks. Its attacks mostly went to the cage, so Yama and Evankel split up, with Evankel fighting the ancient beast and Yama fighting the Elder. We get a short Yama backstory on his reasons for getting so much power. Doom pretty much wanted to use the Canine people to protect himself, whereas Yama wanted to get strong enough to protect the Canine people. We then see Yama overwhelming the Elder with his new transformation, which he says hasn't even peaked yet and will keep getting stronger over time. The Elder thinks of what to do, then suddenly he gets a vision and ends up laughing. We go to Bam and we see Evankel approve Bam using the thorn on Gado. Red Teresa then transforms to level 2 and Bam uses it to injure Gado's legs. Kenzan then gets in the way and distracts Gado for an attack from Bam, which cuts Gado's leg completely off. Elder says that Yama is actually comparable to the first generation Slayers, and we then see him teleport Yama to the Wall of Peaceful Coexistence, where both Jihad and Fulk's toughest forces from back in the day were sealed in the wall. We get some lore behind the Wall of Peaceful Coexistence as Yama arrives, and we then suddenly meet Yasracha. The arc ends. The Wall of Peaceful Coexistence arc is the next arc, and it starts with Bam breaking the spell on Doom. Gado gets one shot by Doom and gives the dying words to Bam about who to sacrifice between Deng Deng and Louis, and this makes Bam enter a moral conflict. Caliban is seen going to a different wall than the one Yasracha is in. Doom tells Bam to focus on what he wants to protect now instead of the fallen soldiers. Deng Deng gives his final words and we move on to see Yama killing some of Yasracha's squad rankers. The Elder is still pressing Team Evankel with his ancient beast powers. He said the beast can amplify and transmit Kelhelm's powers to its roots, but then he realized that Doom's spell was actually broken by Bam and none of his plans will work now. He said he hasn't seen Destiny being rewritten like this since Jihad. He concedes and tells Bam to lead the Canaan people instead to a resistance against Jihad, which Bam ends up agreeing to after learning that Caliban is involved. We move on to see Yasracha introduce himself to Yama and he makes Fusil fight him. After Fusil shows his courage and not being scared of Yama even though he would have died, Yasracha steps in and then controls Yama through some canine mind control. Team Rachel then decides to just leave without getting Apple, and we see Akraptus earrings on the new member, which many people suspect is his daughter. The Canine people all agree to help Yama, and everyone organizing themselves for their new mission. Kelhelm then sends everyone where they have to go. Yasracha is currently embarrassing Yama, but the Canine people and the cage arrived before it got any worse. Yama always believed he was alone, but the Canine people showed up and kind of broke that image. Yasracha ends up controlling the entire Canine people though, while Evankel and Yama try to attack. We then see Caliban try to sneak into the wall and we get a small flashback. The Ha family is very mad at Jihad due to what he's doing with Yuri, and the Pobodo family pretty much implied that they ruptured their ties with Team Jihad. A great war and a rupture is incoming, and then they fear that Bam will ignite a new anti-Jihad alliance. So Team Jihad wants to take the initiative instead. The arc ends with Team Bam arriving at the floor to find Caliban. The next arc is called Wall with a Sleeping ForgetMeNot, and it starts off with Team Bam making a plan and heading towards the wall with the Fuck Hero. Caliban is on a mission to kill or convert Duan to Team Jihad, and he gathers information and seeks her out. He finds Duan's sister and tries to get her to release Duan from the wall. We then see Team Bam trying to get people to go against Caliban after finding out that he arrived before they did. Caliban stops people from attacking Duan's statue, and Kane starts to have doubts whether this peace that Duan brought is a good thing. Team Bam gets thrown in jail, and while there, White gives Hats his philosophy and advice on swordsmanship. We then get into the story of Genesis. Genesis is the period where people against Jihad becoming king and the people fine with Jihad becoming king went to war. The main team, Hidden Grove, are a group of elite fighters that were against the early Jihad forces. After clashing with the direct son of the Lopabia family, Team Jihad explains that they are tired of losing their children and they want coexistence. And in return, the Hidden Grove has to seal the war heroes. Duan was the first to fold, and she gets sealed for peace. Cha leaves the team and goes on a rampage, killing countless Jihad rankers before eventually folding as well and becoming sealed. The rest of the Hidden Grove went to Kelhelm's team, who could see the future and was the strongest at the time. And then they go to fight Jihad. Afterwards, everyone but Kelhelm himself was taken prisoner or killed. The guy finishes off by saying reviving Duan just gives Jihad an excuse for war and she'll be killed, which Fug doesn't want. We then see Kane get attacked, so Caliban as well as Team Bam all move to see what's happening. Caliban helps Kane, and then they go to wake up Duan, while Team Bam gets stopped by the Ranker Delete. Team Bam then fights the Ranker, and Team White goes to stop Caliban. As Bam fights Delete, Kun's Firefish makes Red Teresa longer and sharper. It seems Kun still doesn't know where the fire powers came from. Caliban meets and fights the Ranker Tonki, and before him and Kane can wake up Duan, White interrupts them and engages in battle. The arc comes to an end. The next arc is called Caliban vs. White and starts off with them fighting. White and Caliban engage in a fierce back and forth battle, and we see that White can barely handle a one-armed Caliban. If the fight went on, White honestly probably would have lost. We then go to Team Bam fighting the Elite, and we see their teamwork is just as good as always. And we move on to see Kane using the confusion to wake up Duan. And as she wakes up, the arc ends. The Duan arc starts with Duan being awake, but Kane loses her memories of Duan. White tries to recruit Duan, but it doesn't go too well. Bam struggles to convince the Elite and ended up deciding to just use overwhelming force instead. After beating the Elite, Bam heads towards Duan but gets attacked. Soho then separates everyone from the dangerous Duan and speaks to her about the philosophy of war and peace. Yule comes in with orders from the captain and tells Duan just how special Bam is. We then move on to Yama and Yesracha. Ivanka uses her fire to blind the Canaan people to give Yama an opening. While that is going on, the people in Cha's wall, the other Fug hero, will engage in battle to free him and eventually succeed. Cha aids Yama in his fight against Yesracha, who has the Canaan people hostage in his mind control. As Cha helps turn the tides against Yesracha, we go back to Duan, who is now unsure what to do about Bam. As Caliban goes to kill Team Bam, she chooses to join Team Jihad in return of letting Bam go. Before she leaves, she gets revenge and kills the king for wasting the peace she brought to the land. The arc ends with Masheni moving Jin Sung towards the nest, and all parties so far are trying to rendezvous there for the future conflict. The next arc, called The Nest, starts off with Yesracha being told to abandon his mission and come to the nest. So before he goes, he ends up killing and capturing most Canaan people in order to scare away Yama and his forces from ever fighting them again. Deaths include Kanzan and over half the Canaan people, whereas Jordan, Verdici, and other leaders were among the ones captured to be used as hostages. Masheni explains the history and mechanism behind how the nest functions. She says it has a giant floating stone called the Frozen Waterfall in the middle of the nest that is so strong it keeps everything afloat. High rankers can't even come close without special gear. She says Jin Sung might be used to smoothing the relations between the Ha family, but most likely the goal is just to trap Team Bam and slaughter them. Team Bam talks about what happened and what they will do from here on out. Soho pretty much blames Bam for what happened to the Canine people and refuses to guide him to the nest, but Haroon shows up and says she will guide Bam if he gets an elder to support him, since Fug only wants to take action after they're sure of Bam. Kun gets the idea of making Bam officially be the ranker, which Bam does, and Fug elders get interested in Bam and his operation to save Jin Sung. Team Jihad and Team Bam are all making preparations for the Nest War. Yama reaches a new peak with the support of Doom and Paul as his new right and left hand men, and the Canine people. We then see Duan say that she has nothing left to fight for since she has lost her friends and family, and she will help Caliban get his goal of getting back his old position as squadron commander. But they meet Liborg, who tells her that he still has her friends as hostages. They finish off by saying Bam is the main cause of the internal conflicts among Team Jihad, and if he survives, then the beef among them would just get way worse. The time comes and Bam finally arrives at the nest with special gear to withstand the nest and the floatstone qualities. He fights Charlie while buying time for the other top tier Fug members to sneak in. The arc ends with the entrances of Karaka, Evenkel, and Yama. The next arc is called Intrusion. The arc starts off with the 4th Squadron trying to stop Evenkel with their purely defensive formation, but they don't have a squadron commander. Cheon-hee engages in battle with Karaka, and the Elder teleports the cage from the outer wall to the first wall into the nest, which also leads most of Team Bam breaking past the outer wall to enter the first wall. A branch leader, who is also a high ranker from the Lopabia family, comes in to fight Doom and Paul. The wall is so strong for any of their machinery or weapons to affect it, so they have to use a super strong needle to attack the wall after Bam breaks the magic spell guarding the wall. An advanced ranker from the Lopabia family takes on Evenkel with a strange ability with a fire-resistant monkey. We get a backstory of Doom's father as he fights in battle. Doom's dad swore loyalty to Lopabia family head for taking him in from the workshop and raising him, but he was stuck doing his dirty work and had to live in the shadows. He was never fully acknowledged as a proper branch of the Lopabia family. His Racha was the main reason why the family got branded as traitors and killed. We also see Kun and White combining powers to collect enough souls from the battlefield and bring White back to his prime. Paul ends up transforming after being pressed by the Windbird, and the arc ends with Bam reaffirming his role as the main cause of all these deaths in the war. The next arc, the Rough War, starts. The arc begins with Evenkel being pressured by the 4th Squadron using the fire-resistant monkey that counters most of her normal flames. This leads to a flashback of Evenkel and Han Sung. We learn that Evenkel's Ancient Beast's main goal is just to stay alive, even though they don't know why. She ends up partnering up with Han Sung to fight in a meaningful conflict and rebuild the tower. We go back to see her using a triple orb of powerful flames to take out and win against the squadron, mainly because they had no squadron commander to back them up. Bam tries to go and break the spell on the wall, but Caliban and Duan stops him. Karaka traps Cheon-hee in his heart, and she ends up meeting Han Sung there to fight instead of Karaka, and then Karaka ends up to help Bam with Caliban. As Evenkel heads towards Caliban, a high-ranking sniper called Lifab from the Lopabia family teams up with the Vice Squadron Commander Apatheon, and through a sneaky ploy, they end up hitting Evenkel with the sniper bullet as soon as she kills the Vice Squadron Commander. And then we go back to Doom, and through Doom we learn Yasvacha hasn't been after just the dad, but the kids too, from the very beginning. Paul then learns to control transformation, and the K9s learn that Yasvacha is behind the next wall, which gives them an extra boost of adrenaline. They kill the high ranker, but it switches bodies to the Windbird and starts attacking them again. We go to Evenkel, who is now chasing the high ranker who almost killed her. The arc ends with Bam, as well as Karaka, who just had a small flashback of Jin Sung giving him his armor so he can survive, and are both facing off against Caliban to end the arc. The next arc is called Versus Caliban. The arc starts with Duan mentioning how Jihad wasn't always as corrupt as he currently is, and Bam could easily be on his way to becoming a new Jihad. We then move on to see Bam and Karaka fighting Caliban. They end up going back and forth while sharing each other's ideals. Bam's speech wins over Duan, which briefly makes her protect him from Caliban's lethal attack. He realizes he needs his own defense and can't just keep relying on everyone, and uses Blue Teresa to make a shield. Kun comes up with a plan to kill the branch ranker and evolve White. Lisu makes an incredibly smart play to find the ranker Lefab, and Kun teleports the bullet to kill the branch ranker. After the local beer branch ranker dies, White absorbs his soul and becomes back to full power. Prime White goes to fight Caliban and has the advantage since Caliban can only use one arm. While fighting, Labora gives some orders to let the squadron blow up the cage and get replaced with a stronger squadron. He gives Caliban permission to use both arms, but Caliban says if the plan fails, he will kill Labora himself. We then see flashes of Caliban having extreme charisma among his squadron. He then breaks his arm free and fights White properly with two arms. This makes White bring out his strongest sword, the Cullinan. White uses this opportunity to teach Bam how to use souls, and while this is going on, Luch, the traitor in the Hidden Grove, goes to blow up the ship and escape his long-lasting guilt. The ship prepares to blow up, and Bam uses the power of the souls and the Second Thorn teleportation to move the Needle and the K9 people to safety. The explosion happened and killed most of the 4th Squadron, but Team Fug lost almost nobody, and they kept the Needle too. Caliban ends up pretty depressed after losing his entire squadron for nothing, and the few surviving members all surrender. Caliban gathers the remaining soldiers and says he wants to overthrow Laboric and get his position as squadron commander back. In order to do this, he agrees to work with Team Bam until they get Jinsung. Bam breaks the spell and they shoot the needle into the next wall, and with that, the arc ends. The next and current arc is called the Second Defensive Wall. The arc starts explaining why Gus and Mio Love are here. Gus blackmailed Love to join using embezzlement as leverage, but Love had a natural hate for both Jihad and Fug for killing his new and old family respectively. They start fighting off the enemies that are immediately attacking them so they can leave a path for the others. Sophia's disciples come in and help fight in the war, but Fusil protected Team Jihad from their attacks. We then see Evenko is taking care of the sniper girl Defab since she knows very crucial information. Evenko says that the secret place Lefab was talking about in the nest is so scary that if she tells anyone, they'll lose all morale and probably give up on the war, and she has to stop it herself. Augustus and Sophia are protecting a warp device to get them out of there when the time comes. Machene goes towards the center of the nest, and Yosvacha sets up a game involving the remaining 2 squadrons against the current Fug forces. With this, everyone is now caught up and awaiting a new chapter on Sunday. This is a lot of information, I know, but Season 3 had a lot of content. SAU writes a lot of pages per chapter, so it's gonna be long, and this is not a series where you wanna miss details. So this is pretty much all the details and all the info I think you guys should keep in mind and you guys should know. So the recap is pretty much wrapped up. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did and appreciate the work I put into this, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It does help me out a lot and it keeps me going. Now, next arc, as we all know, is gonna be really good. Hope it's gonna be great, and I'm gonna see you guys next time. Thanks again for watching the video, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.